From rags to riches, what to do with your newly acquired wealth. Congratulations, you've suddenly found yourself with millions of dollars in your bank account. Maybe you bought GameStop at $5 or Bitcoin at $1,000, or maybe you won the lottery or inherited a multi-million-dollar windfall. Regardless of how you got here, holding on to your newfound wealth can be just as difficult as making it. Suddenly, old friends will reappear, strangers will send you threatening letters, and even family members will have sob stories about why they need money. Psychologists call this sudden wealth syndrome, a phenomenon that can cause anxiety, isolation, and paranoia due to the guilt of receiving money that wasn't earned. To make matters worse, there are three major threats to your wealth: gambling, getting sued, and conspicuous consumption. Gambling is ironically the biggest threat to overnight fortunes, as those who make millions quickly tend to be risk-takers by nature. However, it's also the most scalable and thus the easiest way to lose your wealth. Getting sued is also a major threat, as high-profile millionaires often become targets for litigious individuals. Good lawyers are expensive, and they might end up costing you more in legal fees than in settlements. Finally, there's conspicuous consumption. It's easy to think that this is the biggest trap to fall into, but it's actually quite difficult to spend money at this scale. Buying houses, planes, cars, and mega yachts takes time and effort, and these items tend to hold their value. A German billionaire once lamented that money tends to gravitate towards those who already have it. He observed that if he were to purchase a limited edition Ferrari, it would not depreciate in value like most cars, but would actually appreciate in value year after year among collectors. He also purchased multiple holiday homes, all of which appreciated in value. His jets were written off as business expenses, and his super yacht ended up turning a profit running charter gas, even while he was not on board. By the way, you can actually Airbnb yachts like this one off charter brokerages. This particular example will set you back about $500,000 per week. This goes to show that you can still consume your way to being broke, though you really need to put a lot of effort into it. You can't buy things. You need to buy experiences that don't retain any value after they're experienced, except for a fulfilled life. So avoid these three traps, and your wealth should serve you for generations to come. However, maybe that is easier said than done. Now that we understand what not to do, it's finally time to lay out a game plan for unexpected millions, which is totally for entertainment purposes only. So don't sue me, mystery internet millionaire. Step number 1. Don't open your mouth and tell anyone anything about anything. In all seriousness, though, keep everything as low profile as possible, at least until you have finished everything else on this list. If you're a lottery winner, stay anonymous. If your lottery doesn't allow for anonymous winners, get a lawyer to pick it up on your behalf. If they don't even allow that, do what the still mysterious at Campbell did and wear a mask to collect your prize. It's somewhat easier to pull off these days, so you're in luck. If you have made your money through more conventional means like gambling on Robinhood rather than on your state lottery, try to avoid bragging about massive gains to your friends and family. Bragging anonymously on the internet is actually fine, so long as you are confident that nobody will take you seriously and slash or trace the account back to you. Step 1 ensures that you don't invite all the nasty attention that will draw you into these three traps. Step 2 is to get good legal assistance. There are actually law firms that specialize in things like lottery winnings, and they have decades of expertise in setting up systems to ensure that you and your money are protected legally. Which leads us on to step 3. Protect your assets. Set up a company and trust structures that legally separates you from your money. The reason why you hear rich people talking about trust funds so much is for precisely this reason. Trusts are legal entities that can hold assets like a pile of cash, or they can be more complex and hold assets like shares in a company, which in turn holds a pile of cash. This is likely what the lawyers in Step 2 will recommend. This type of trust will have two important people: the trustee, who decides what the trust fund does, and the beneficiary, which is the person who gets paid the money from the trust fund. Oh, and by the way, these two people can be the same person, and that person can be you. What this means is that if you get sued, you can just say, "Oh well, I don't have any money." "Oh, that over there? You mean the trust that owns a company that has millions of dollars sitting in it? Well, I don't own that. I just control it and benefit from it. You might be wondering why adding a company on top of a trust fund is beneficial. Well, while trust funds are great for holding money, they're required by law to disperse a large portion of their cash each year to beneficiaries, which prevents the trustees from withholding money from them. However, this means that you'll have to pay out a significant amount of money at the end of each year, leaving you with a large sum of cash that could be taken away in lawsuits. By giving that money to a company owned by the trust, the company can decide whether to pay dividends and how much to pay, which is then given to the trust and ultimately to you. This allows you to earn money like a wealthy person and also learn more about how trust funds work. Next, you'll want to invest that money wisely to make sure it doesn't lose its value over time due to inflation. However, it's important not to take too many risks since you're aiming to preserve your wealth, not double it overnight. Once you've invested your money, you'll need to set up a budget that allows you to live off the returns indefinitely. Typically, this budget should be around 2 to 5% of your total invested assets. Popular choices include Monaco, Liechtenstein, Singapore, the Bahamas, and Bermuda. You only need to live in these countries for 6 months and 1 day each year to avoid taxes, and then you're free to travel the world with your money. Thanks for watching our video, and please support us by subscribing to our channel.